everyone. Welcome to the W Show presented by NAB. It's great to have your company as we lead into round 2 of season 7 of the AFLW competition. Joining me, as always, is award-winning journalist Sarah Black. And this week on the panel, we also have Essendon co-captain in Bonnie Toogood. Welcome to you both. Sarah, the weekend, 9 games of footy. Have you recovered yet?
Nearly. No, it was good to see so much footy being played. It was a short turnaround, but I think well worth it.
Bonnie, big question. Have you come down from the high that was Saturday night at Marvel Stadium? Because that was one of the best games of footy I have been to.
It was absolutely electric, and how good is it for AFLW to be back in action? But yeah, Saturday night...
Look at your face here. You could not wipe the smile off.
No, I said to you post-game, actually, I had goosebumps from head to toe, and so many of the girls did. Maddie P there with her grabbing the jumper
that
tug.
was a beautiful
we
moment.
love that, and it's been such an emotional week for her and playing for her childhood team, and same as me. So the goosebumps were real. They were from head to toe, and it was a really exciting night and a great spectacle for women's footy.
Have you had a chance in a way to sort of reflect on the significance of this moment? Because in 50, 60, 70 years' time, people will look back on that game and you and Steph Kane walking the team out for the first time and be like, they were the first ever AFLW captains when it comes to the Essendon Football Club. Has that really hit you yet?
I don't think so, and I don't think it will until 50, 60 years down the track. But yeah, it was a real pinch myself moment, and that smile really said it all. I can't believe that I found myself here in the historic moment, and really proud moment for the club. We get to launch into a new 150 years. We've celebrated the 150 years that has been, and now we're launching into a new era, and that's a really proud moment, and it was just great to have all 18 teams competing on the same weekend for the very first time. So it's a huge step for the competition as well.
No, I think I can speak on behalf of everyone here at the W Show. It was a proud moment for us watching you walk out, and of course Essendon getting the win as well, which was fantastic. Let's see what has been making news, because it's been a big news week, and this is the news thanks to NAB, but unfortunately a few injuries on the list there. We can see that it was relief for Montana Ham, not an ACL, but she's got that knee sprain. She's going to miss about a month of football. But Lily Postlethwaite and Kelly Gibson both out for the season with ACLs. Georgie Prespakis, another Prespakis in the headlines this week as well, with that story that you broke during the week on Monday, Sarah, and we'll come to that in a moment. But I guess we should start with Maddie Prespakis, because during the off-season she was the most high-profile trade, and Prespakis, of course, and her teammate at Carlton and now at Essendon, Georgia G, will both be facing off against Carlton for the very first time come Sunday. This is what the pair had to say during the week.
I think in some ways probably a little bit surprised in the way maybe some people reacted to it, in terms of people that we thought were really close to us, and bringing a couple people and probably not getting the response that we wanted back was probably a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, pretty similar to Mads. I think a little bit disappointed with a few of the responses we got, but I guess that's just what comes with it. I think it's definitely hard losing teammates, so I definitely understand, but we've moved on from that now and we're here, so yeah, I'm definitely happy to be here.
So Sarah, you were at that press conference. What did you make of the comments?
Look, I was probably a little bit surprised that Maddie and Georgia were surprised in a way. I think, it's pretty understandable that, when a 3-time best and fairest leaves the club, the teammates are going to be a little bit disappointed. It's the reality of football, and it's probably a sign of the maturing of the industry as well, that these are some of the conversations that have to be had.
I think too, I like the honesty. I think I felt like when I heard this press conference was happening, I expected just a straight bat to be played. So for Maddie and Georgia to be so honest, I like that for the game, but I'm not sure in the scheme of things in terms of the game on Sunday, whether it was maybe the right call. Bonnie, I'm keen to bring you into this conversation, because does it open both of them up, I guess, to being targeted a little bit more by their former Carlton teammates?
I wouldn't say it opens them up to be targeted. It was their experience. And as you said, as the industry is growing and becoming more professional, these types of moves are going to happen. And if I was a Carlton teammate, losing those types of plays, as you said, Sarah, that you would be disappointed. I'm very happy they're my teammates, don't get me wrong, and that was their experience. But maybe it, adds to the rivalry that is Essendon and Carlton now, and that little piece of storyline is now tangled within all of that. So it's going to make for an exciting game.
And Bonnie, you would have had to have made that call as well. What was your experience ringing the Dogs girls and saying you're moving on?
It was a really tough one. I was very nervous. It's a very hard conversation that you had to have, but I got a really great response. Obviously, there was that disappointment from your teammates and your close friends. However, they understood with my decision, and I explained my reasonings to most of the girls, and they understood that and really backed me in, and actually throughout this whole pre-season have still been checking in with me and supporting me with so many different things. So I had a slightly different experience, but it's a part of the industry as we continue to grow and get more professional.
Now, when Essendon celebrated their 150th year, it was in an AFL match, Essendon playing Carlton, and Maddie Prespakis was there. The Carlton fans booed her, which was a little bit surprising, but she is expecting a similar reception. Let's hear what she had to say.
Oh, you'd probably get the boos from the sideline, from the crowd. That's expected, and I'm sure we'll probably have a few bodies trying to hit us a little bit extra harder, but that's part of footy, and I think I've said it before, if we can create sort of that competitive competition within the AFLW, it's exciting, and at the end of the day, that's what footy is.
So, Bonnie, as a co-captain, how do you handle this situation? Because it is more than likely they're going to get booed or some reception. Do you try and speak to the girls beforehand? Do you not address it? How are you going to handle it?
I think personally I'll probably have a conversation with both of them. I've connected really well with them over this pre-season, so I'll probably have a conversation with them. As Maddie said, I think it adds to the rivalry in the AFLW, and I think it's actually, if you take a positive spin on it, they're at a men's game, 150th celebration, and the crowd's so invested in women's footy that
they knew who she was.
They knew who she was, and obviously disappointed to lose her. So I think as a competition as a whole, I think it's actually a thing to be celebrated, and she's going to take it in her stride, and she'll let her football do the talking. Same with Georgia G. They'll just go out and handle business.
Yeah, I was going to ask. They're both obviously star players, and don't necessarily need any extra motivation. But do you think that this will fuel them, or will this make life a little bit tougher for them?
I think they'll take it in their stride, that's for sure. They're very excited for the weekend's game, and we get to keep playing football. I think sometimes we get caught up in the hoo-ha of the dramatics outside, but we all just love playing footy, and we'll go out and do our job and make sure we are there for them as well, and because it is a bit of a difficult situation, and I'm lucky enough I don't have to come up against the Doggies this year. But yeah, it happens in the game now with all the moves. Same with Tilly Lucas-Rod will come up against St Kilda as well, so it's not just Maddie and G.
So Maddie wasn't the only Prespakis making waves or headlines this week, because her sister Georgie, who plays at Geelong, kicked the match winner against the Tigers. And Sarah, it was a little controversial. I'm not sure that was a free kick. It was ticked off by the AFL, but you broke a story on Monday which talked about the fact that Georgie probably shouldn't have been the one to take the kick.
Yeah, so letter of the law, that is, if a free kick is paid, then a downfield free kick, then it's the closest player to the ball who should take that free kick. Now, Georgie instead was brought in a good 10 metres to take the free kick herself. You can see Chloe Shear, she's, the key forward in the area. She's got her hand up. She wants the footy. But it did go to Georgie in the end, and the AFL did say that was the incorrect decision. Great composure from Georgie to go back and kick the winning goal. But it probably should have been Chloe, who, look, let's be honest, she's a decent kick. She may have slotted it anyway.
Or if you're a key forward, Bonnie, surely you're fighting tooth and nail to get that kick in that moment.
Oh, absolutely. When you're down in the forward line, you back yourself in to take that responsibility, whether it was Georgie, well, it was Georgie, but if Chloe were to have taken that, you would have backed her in anyways. It's just a classic case of human error, and that happens in our game.
There is a huge game of football coming up on Friday evening at the MCG. It is Melbourne and the Kangaroos going head-to-head. Two teams we probably think are around about the mark in terms of being top four and genuine contenders. And the Dees, well, they look like a dominant side so far in season 7, even after just one round. I want to take a closer look, ladies, at, I guess, some small tweaks that we've already seen in the Dees. They are our deep dive. What have you noticed, Bonnie? In particular, the handball receives.
Yeah, the handball receives. They're playing a faster pace footy at the moment. And you can see there that they've got 99 from that first game, which is a huge improvement from the last season. And it just gets the ball moving quicker. It seems that they want the contested ball, win it at the source, get the first hands out and then control the game from there. So huge improvements by them.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen in the past from Melbourne, particularly coming up against the Crows, is that they panic. They're not the only side to panic when they're playing against Adelaide, but they were really just, instead of, as you said, getting the quick hands out and controlling the play outside of the contest, they were just dumping kicks long. And that really benefited the likes of Sarah Allen, who had 7 intercepts in the grand final and only 2 in round 1. So they really clamped down on that area.
And when we talk about the handballs too, Eliza West, I thought she was really excellent on Friday night in that game too. 25 disposals, but 19 of those handballs, Sarah, as well.
Yeah, and she's probably one of the new generation of Melbourne midfielders. So you know, for so long we were used to the Karen Paxman, Daisy Pearce, Elise O'Day, who was in there, and now it's more about Eliza. Liv Purcell, I thought, was excellent after, you know, a full pre-season under her belt, and the D's firmly in premiership contention.
So Bonnie, if you're the Roos, how do you then beat the D's, knowing what we know and what we've seen so far?
I think if you want to get an intercept defender involved, you need to really provide the pressure at the source and force them into kicking it long and kicking it almost, to allow like the likes of Emma Carney to run off half back and expose them that way. So really contested, hot pressure at the contest will be really important for the Roos.
So the D's have actually won the last 3 encounters against the Roos, and all 4 of their games have actually been played at Casey Field. Sarah, how much does the change in the venue in the MCG actually help North Melbourne?
Well, the wind isn't going to be a factor.
Don't we love the wind tunnel down at Casey?
That might be a win for everyone involved, but particularly North Melbourne, pretty much out of all AFLW sides, are the most precise kicking side. They love to control the ball by foot, and they have ever since their beginning in the AFLW. So if you take the wind factor, well, it's lessened considerably at the MCG, then they're able to control play a lot more than they have been able to in games past against the D's. They've always been really tight contests. The 4 games have been decided by an average of 6.25 points. So
wow,
we're in for a ripper on Friday night.
Cannot wait for that one. Now, I do want to speak a little bit about Fremantle because, Sarah, we touched on them last week and you mentioned they might be, I don't know, sliding down the ladder a little bit given they've had so many issues with injuries, and unfortunately it got worse for them at the weekend. They lost Janelle Cuthbertson and Jess Lowe early on in the game, and from that moment really in the second term, the Lions just piled it on. With 10 games in the home and away season, are they in trouble here, Fremantle?
I am worried about the Dockers, definitely. The loss of those 2 players in particular, Janelle being that rock in defence. Jess is a really great lockdown defender, and Greta Bodie, you know, got off the chain, so did Courtney Hodder. And the defence just sort of fell apart without those 2 there. Jess will miss this weekend. Janelle, bit touch and go, but a broken nose following a broken cheekbone earlier this year. You wouldn't be surprised if she missed also. They will regain Laura Pugh to that back line, but they're sort of shuffling the cards at the moment. So their draw coming up is okay. They've got the Dogs, the Blues, Eagles, Dees and Crows are going to be tough, but then they finish with the Pies, Swans and Hawks. So, you know, I think top 8's still a possibility. But top 4 will be stretching it.
Time now for our unsung hero. Who is it this week, Sarah?
Unsung hero this week, Aisling McCarthy from the West Coast Eagles. Now, we all know Aisling's a star of the game, but I think we didn't really appreciate just how valuable and important she is to the West Coast midfield mix. She missed much of last season with a broken wrist and immediately just sort of steadied everything. She sat on Aaron Phillips for most of the game, but then, you know, really in the Eagles' run and overrunning of the power, she was instrumental in her attack on the footy. Now, the Eagles, Bonnie, have the Suns this weekend. If you're Michael Pryor, what are you going to do with Aisling McCarthy?
I think with Ash Mack, she did such a great job on Erin Phillips, keeping her to 3 touches in the first half. She's a person where you can give her a role and she'll do it, but then she has now matured in her game where then she can be really attacking on the other end. So if I was Michael Pryor, I might look to put her on Charlie Rowbottom, try and nullify her influence and then let Ash Mack go to work and get her attack. I have seen Ash Mack grow. She was at the Dogs when I was there, and missing last year, you almost forgot actually how composed she is with the footy and her skill and her ability, especially around goal. So I'm really excited to see how they play her this weekend. I think nullifying Charlie and then letting her burst off into attack will be really crucial for them.
And should the Eagles win, they could be 2-0 for the first time since coming into the competition, which is really exciting for West Coast. The Bulldogs. Now, I was so curious, Bonnie, how they would go in terms of their forward line mix when you decided to leave and head to the Bombers. What did you make of their first game?
I was in the crowd, actually, because it was Gabby Newton's first game back after 500 days or so, and I think she is a rock down there now and will be a key pillar in that forward line, along with Moody. But Gabby, it all started with that tackle pressure. She laid 9 tackles and put those shoulders to the test right away into her first game, but was able to capitalise on the scoreboard as well. And I was just a really proud friend. She was the #1 draft pick in 2019, and because she hasn't played for the past couple of years, I've been in many conversations where people are like, you just forgot how good she is. And it's true. We just haven't been able to see her on the main stage, and I think it's just a taste of what Gabby's going to do in that forward line. And in conjunction with Celine Moody, it's an exciting forward line there at the Dogs.
She looked so strong, didn't she, Sarah?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It was a bigger Gabby than what we're used to seeing. She did play a lot of key forward as a junior, but does have that versatility where she can play across all 3 lines. So that's really going to help the Dogs going forward. And you mentioned Celine Moody. I was about to say Brie. Celine Moody was excellent in attack as well. But I think the development of Alice Edmonds in the ruck is allowing Celine to spend so much time in attack.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, time now to take a look at what has been trending on social media. And Cynthia Hamilton, well, the Swan, she handed a helmet to a young fan, and this was the reaction.
When I grow up, I want to be Cynthia Hamilton.
How cute is that?
Adorable.
I absolutely love stuff like this. And check out the cartwheel to finish, by the way. And this was a pub in Ireland in Meath. And these were fans watching Vicky Wall and Erica O'Shea make their debut for the Roos.
At God knows what hour too.
I know. I was wondering that. I was trying to do the calculations. I'm terrible at time zones. But that's amazing to see that the game is getting traction over in other countries, which we have so many great Irish players here. So brilliant stuff. All right, big round of footy coming up. Round 2, we've talked plenty about some of the blockbusters coming your way. Sarah, I'm looking forward to hearing about what you're looking forward to this weekend.
The game I've got my eye on is GWS taking on Brisbane. Now, we see GWS against the Dogs. I was so keen to use that corridor, but I think the Lions, one of the best defences in the competition. It's going to be a real tactical battle. I don't think they're going to allow them in the middle of the ground.
Bonnie?
I'm excited to watch Port Adelaide and Dogs because it's Port Adelaide's home ground, and I'm intrigued to see or hear whether the crowd is going to bring out a never tear us apart. I wonder if that's going to flow over into the women's team as well.
I like it. I am very much looking forward to being stuck to my couch on Sunday and watching 5, yes, that's right, 5 games of footy. Cannot wait for Sunday. Bonnie, thanks so much for joining us. I can't wait to watch you run out there again on Sunday. 11:10 start for you. It's a bit of an early game, isn't it?
Bright and early. Haven't played that since like my old netball tournament days, but very excited. And you know what, guys? It was good to be back with you. I've missed you.
Oh, we
Bon.
missed you too. But
You know how to get us on side, don't you?
I know, every time. I will not be barracking for the Bombers. I'm joking. Thank you, and thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for watching the W Show presented by NAB. It's been great to have your company. For all of your news, head to women's.afl and the AFLW official app.